Okay, so here we have an example of weighted averages, and we're trying to basically fill out this table and then answer a number of questions. So, a health food store sells seasoning blends in bulk. One blend contains 20% basil, and Sheila wants to add pure basil to some 20% blend to make 16 ounces of her own 30% blend. And then it says, let B represent the amount of basil Sheila would add to the 20% blend. So we have a lot of different things here, and so what we're going to try and do is we're going to simplify this a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is let's figure out what we know. We know that she wants to make her own 30% blend, and she's looking to make 16 ounces of that. So this is really one of the first things that we're looking at here. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we know that this is going to be 16 ounces. So we're going to write 16 in there. And so 16 ounces of basil, and we know that this is really a 0.3. This is 30% blend. So now we'll try and fill in some of the other one. Now, we're given by the fact that this is going to be B. So B represents our 100% basil number of ounces. Now, our 20% basil blend is basically going to be the fact that since this is our total amount that we're going to have, this plus this, when you add these together, is going to equal this 30% basil blend. So here, since that's the case, this would be 16 as the total. A portion of it will be this B ounces of the 100% basil blend. So the remaining portion is going to be 16 minus B. And the percentage of this that we're going to have is 0.2 because we're going to have 20% of this basil blend. And then the final box here is basically going to be 1. Now the reason it's 1 is because it represents a full basil blend or 100%. Now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to set up an equation because we're trying to solve for B. And so what happens is that we're going to end up on one side here, which is the total amount. So we'll call this area the total so that we know what we're putting over here. The total is basically going to be the 0.3 times the 16. Now on the left side, we know that this total is equal to the sum of the parts. So this is the one part and this is the other part because Sheila here is using a 20% basil blend and then she's adding to it a 100% basil blend to get to her total that she has, which is the 30% basil blend. So we're going to basically add these two together. So we have an amount of 0.2 times 16 minus B. And we're going to add to that our B. That will equal this 0.3 times 16. So now what we can do is we can actually multiply this out and solve for B. And what we're going to get is we're going to get 0.32 minus 0.2B plus B equals 0.48. So now our equation here is 0.32 minus the 0.2b plus b. Well, we can combine these terms and we will end up with 0.32 plus 0.8b equals our 0.48. Now we can subtract the 0.32 from both sides. And we will end up with 0.8b equals, and then just doing your regular subtraction, we end up with 0.16. We can divide both sides by 0.8, and we will end up with b equals 2. Now, the supplemental parts of the question ask a couple things, but it's nothing more than filling out the answers to the b that is up in the table over here. So we can now find out that the total number of ounces for the 20% basil blend will be 16 minus B, which is 2, and that basically will give us 14. And the total number of ounces of the 100% basil will just be B, which is 2. And so therefore, the supplemental questions that we're given is if we're asked to write an equation to represent the problem, that's basically going to constitute this part right here. The second part to the question will ask how many ounces of basil will Sheila need for the 30-ounce blend, and the answer is 2, because that's going to be represented by this. because this is your total ounces for the 100% of basil. And then how many ounces of the total of the 20% basil blend should she use? Well, that's going to be represented by this box, and that will be 14.